Donald Trump's appeal as an outsider is actually hurting him in the nitty-gritty battle to select actual delegates to go to the National Convention. It's very much an insider's process. So while he's won most of the primaries and he has won most of the delegates, these delegates are actually selected at congressional district conventions and at state conventions. And Donald Trump just recently ramped up his efforts to try and influence the process. The way this works is, when you get to the convention, on the first ballot, over 90% of the delegates are what we call bound. They're required to vote for the candidate who won them. But if Donald Trump does not get a majority of the delegates on the first ballot, many of the delegates who are supposed to be his delegates could abandon him and vote for somebody else. There are two campaigns that you have to run. One's the very public campaign where you're running in primaries and caucuses. The other is very much behind the scenes at these state and congressional district conventions. And so far, Ted Cruz has done a much better job than Donald Trump has. So what you try to do is you try to get your supporters elected as delegates at these state conventions so that you can get people who are going to be loyal to you when you go to the national convention. Ted Cruz started this process last year. And in some of these states, the process goes all the way back to last year. You had to be in South Carolina, you had to be a delegate at last year's state convention in order to be a national delegate at this year's convention. Donald Trump won all the delegates in South Carolina, but there's a good chance that a lot of those delegates are not going to be real supporters of his. Donald Trump hired a convention manager last week, a guy by the name of Paul Manafort, who's been around a long time and he knows the process really well. He also picked up some delegate experts from Ben Carson's failed campaign. But he just hired these guys recently, and so they're getting a late start on all of this.